All right, James Cook, the second round selection from the Buffalo Bills. How good is he? What can he do? Let's find out. Well, at least maybe how good was he in the preseason, and what can he show? What did he show that he can potentially do in the regular season? Let's find out. Might be the better way to phrase it. But anyways, this play, it's a pretty simple play. He's gonna sort of get a little pitch back to him. He will then be going to the offense's right. But I've also highlighted one Carolina player because he's going to not get through untouched, but basically get through before the tight end can get over to try and block him. Actually, wide receiver can get over and try and block him. Watch how he just sort of rampages through. So for James Cook, he's, this is an issue right here. There's not a lot going on. It's not particularly well blocked down the field either. So, you got to figure out what you can do. And as you see, Cook, I think, does a great job at getting to the outside and just minimizing damage. Listen, and the ref took a brutal hit there as well, which is unfortunate. But for James Cook, I just thought that was, a good play by him to minimize the damage that was going to happen there, find a way to get back to the line of scrimmage. To me, that's a good play, even though it goes for 0 yards, because with an average halfback, it probably goes for less than 0. A play like this was interesting as well. So it's going to be in the receiving game. It's a man coverage play. So you have someone who's in charge of covering James Cook on this play exclusively. It's going to be a halfback screen here. So it really is kind of just a one-on-one matchup. It's Cook going up against the linebacker who's covering him. And right when this play begins, the quarterback hits James Cook, but it was really well read by the Carolina defender, who now can get over and try and make a play on James Cook. At this point, I was convinced Cook was going to make a move to the inside of the field and potentially get some yards that way. He does not. He just goes to the outside and, again, minimizing the damage. You lose a yard there. It's not too much more because of what he was able to do. Would you have liked to see him maybe win a one-on-one matchup there? You can make that argument. I certainly get that argument. But he also said, I'm not going to let this play go for a disaster, which, again, I think some lesser running backs maybe, get tackled well beyond the line of scrimmage, and that could be a problem. I think that, some better halfbacks maybe pick up more yards and do make a move and are able to get a ton more yards. It depends. I can see both sides. However, let's talk pass protection. No one ever wants to talk pass protection with running backs, but it's so important. To me, I care about this pretty much just as much as I care about the running ability. I think that it's so important, and if you can't pass protect, you really don't belong in the NFL. Guys can't really play in the NFL if they're a great runner, but they can't pass protect. Look at Ronald Jones, a second-round pick who, can run great, but can't pass protect, so he's, struggling to find a team. Anyway, what's happening on this play? So I've highlighted a Carolina player. You have James Cook, who's going to try to pick up that player and block him since he's going to be getting through untouched, and watch how he does. Watch him just go, straight for the legs. That's a clear chop block. So not ideal. You don't want to be making that type of penalty. The penalty was declined, but still, you got that's a penalty. That's a chop block. If you go below the player's thigh or below as they're going above your waist when you're blocking someone, which is what was happening there, can't do that. That's how guys get hurt. So, I get it with James Cook. And it didn't even really seem like he was trying to. He was just trying to get low. It just kind of got a little too low is what it seemed like it was. So I actually don't hate that play necessarily. He read it well. He geared up well and just kind of went a bit too low. I think that happens. Listen, trying to block a guy who's significantly bigger than you, it's hard. You're going to, it's going to be difficult. So I don't really hate it so much, but it definitely did not work out. We also saw something like this where, it's going to be a play action. I'm highlighting another Carolina player who's going to, again, get through relatively untouched. The center isn't going to be able to pick him up too much. And watch how Cook, really just, gets shoved all the way out of the way, but he's at least putting his body in position. And, positioning can be really half the battle in the blocking game, but he does have to, he doesn't really have the frame to be a great blocker, I don't think. So he's doing what he can. I appreciate the effort with James Cook, certainly. And, effort really is half the battle in the blocking game. So I'm not mad at it necessarily, but definitely it's not the most promising looking stuff. But at the end of the day, don't make penalties. But if you can just get the job done, that's good enough. And again, a play like this, he was brought on because of his running ability and his receiving ability. He can catch as well, even if he didn't showcase it too much this preseason. But let's talk about that running ability. On this play, the way it works is, you're blocking to your left, meaning that the edge rusher on the right side on the offense's right, he will be unblocked. So Cook, who's going to be running, you can run sort of in his area. That's kind of your last gap you can choose. Like, look at how when his play begins, you can kind of go just straight to the to Cook's left of the player who I have circled in yellow. You can see how that can work. You just try to power through. This is really it's a speed thing to try to make this work. However, as you see, Cook has great burst and acceleration and picks up about 9 yards there. So these are the flashes that he showed that I think are promising. I think that he is someone who can run the ball well. I think that there's definitely some positive upside we saw with his tape, certainly. Well, listen, I mean, the blocking is still an issue, right? I mean, that's something that he's going to have to get better at. Definitely when you think about James Cook, it's like, okay, you're going to have to at least be decent, which, again, he's getting in position and he's doing the right thing for the most part. Yes, chop block's not great. You don't want to do that. But also, it's hard. It's hard to figure out how exactly you block guys who are significantly bigger than you. But, as long as typically the way that blocking tends to work is more often than not, the missed blocks come from not understanding where you're supposed to be instead of not being able to actually physically make the block. So I think the fact that he knows where he has to be is promising. I just think he's got to figure out, I think the easier part is actually making sure you can at least, nudge the guy far enough off to, because again, you're a halfback. You're not expected to be able to block guys cleanly and for 4 seconds. You're just expected to be able to get in their way and slow them down, which can be very important at times. And I think that he'll be able to figure that out. I don't really have a concern about that. It's just when will he figure it out is maybe the concern. But probably this year. The receiving stuff looked good. The running stuff looked good. I think that from what we saw, I would say the first pass was test with James Cook. Who knows how it'll work in an NFL game, because it is just preseason and there is only so much we can evaluate. But you want to see guys come in, especially a running back who, that position tends to be a position where you're good right away. So for James Cook, you want to see him come in and play good right away, or at least be able to, play decent right away, because, ideally week 1, you should already be a contributor. And so far, we've seen no reason to believe that that won't be the case. So if you were a big James Cook fan coming out of college, you probably still should be a big James Cook fan. If you're like me and kind of thought he was solid, I still kind of feel that way. I think he'll probably be solid. I think he'll probably be a contributor for the Buffalo Bills. I have no reason to not believe that after the preseason, which, is really the goal at the end of the day. Make it so that I don't think, oh man, this guy's going to struggle. That's typically what you're going for. At least that's how I view it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. What were your thoughts on James Cook's preseason performance? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.